Good morning, everybody. I'm going to make this fairly short. I just want to kind of update people on the state of play in regard to the library in Susquehanna County and our efforts to make some changes to the board. Again, for people that are watching this outside of Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania, this is a specific effort focused on the Susquehanna County Library and some of its policies. But I can't stress enough that what we're going through in Susquehanna County is happening all over the state. And one of the biggest issues here is that people are simply unaware of it, right? Yeah. If you're like me, you kind of revere libraries. I more or less lived in them as a kid. I've got books stacked all over my house. You can see the books behind me. I'm all about libraries, but the days when you could regard them as just sort of a benign place that was devoid of a particular political agenda are unfortunately gone. That doesn't make every librarian evil or bad. There's no subtext like that here. It's just that unfortunately we do have people who have a particular ideological bent, and they have decided very explicitly to use libraries as a mechanism for pushing that ideology, and particularly pushing it on kids. And if you had told me that 5 years ago, I probably would have told you that sounds like you need to slow down, drink a little less coffee, and chill out, buddy. But unfortunately, it's the reality of where we are. And one of the things that I've tried to do on this page is put up background material on, for instance, the American Library Association, to allow people to read it themselves, come to their own conclusions, but just to show them essentially in the light of day, look, we're not making this up, man. Here's a reading list from the American Library Association of suggested books for kids 5 and younger on basically on transgender ideology. And that's posted on this page. I encourage you to go to the site and look at the books and read the descriptions, and then pull up the material, and you see that, again, we're not making that up. These are books that very explicitly are pushing a particular ideology, and the intent is to push that on your kids. Anyway, so that's all by way of backdrop. Where are we in this fight with the library? So, the library, the last word we have from the library in Susquehanna County is that they were cutting off the acceptance of new member applications as of 9 November. In other words, yesterday. That's 10 days, 11 days in advance of the meeting at which members can vote for the board. But they are saying, have been saying, that they needed to cut off new memberships as of that date, because it will take them some time to process them and be ready for the vote, which will take place on the 20th of November. Okay. Having said that, as best we can determine, if you submit an application for membership now, you are likely still not going to be allowed to vote on 20 November. That's the best information we have. If you want to join and you have not done so yet, I would encourage you to do so. You will be entitled to vote in future at future meetings. And the bottom line is, we don't actually know officially in any kind of hard way that applications will not continue to be accepted and processed over the next 10 days. We have been told that if you didn't get your application in and you weren't accepted by the 9th, you would not be able to vote on the 20th. But this is all still kind of informal. We're hearing this sort of through the rumor mill. So again, if you really want to join up so you can vote on the 20th, I would encourage you to submit your application if you have not. And I would encourage you to physically go to the library or a branch of the library and do that. Okay, don't sort of shut down now And then we find out in a few days that, well, that was bad info, and they're still accepting applications. If you have not submitted it, go ahead and do it. Again, I would strongly encourage you to physically go to Montrose or to one of the branch libraries. You can mail in the form. The form has been posted multiple times on this page. I will post it again. You can mail in the form. I can tell you from my personal experience, I mailed in the form with the check. I got no response. I did contact the library via email and have received email confirmation from them that I am now on the rolls and can vote. But what I was told was it is not their practice to mail anything back out to you. If you didn't do it in person at the library and you mailed in your application, according to what I have been told, they will accept it, they will process it, but they won't send you anything telling you that. Okay, the vote itself. 20 November, I will post on this page again the information on the precise location where we're going on the 20th. This meeting starts at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Where passing out of ballots apparently starts at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And then the vote is tallied, something to that effect, at 4:30. I would encourage you to be there at 3 p.m. Yeah, I get it. It's incredibly inconvenient to do this on a weekday at 3 p.m., but that's the reality. According to the information that's been published in multiple newspapers, when you arrive at the location at 3 p.m. on 20 November to vote, you are going to be required to show some sort of photo ID to establish your identity, so they will then allow you to vote. So 3 p.m., 20th of November, and you have to have a photo ID so they can check you against their list of people that are allowed to vote. I will put the address out here on this page. I will put out, again, the form that you fill out to apply for membership per the guidance that I gave a few moments ago. We will also be pushing out sometime in the next day or two a suggested list of, basically a voting list, how we suggest you vote. And then obviously each individual will make up their own mind. I encourage folks to stay motivated here and to stay focused on this. It's incredibly important. And I think it's one of those things that's really hard for us to grasp. As I said initially, we are really not used to thinking of libraries as institutions about which we should be concerned, right? I mean, you turn your little kid is down in the library and you assume they're sitting in a children's section, and everything that's in the children's section that they can access is completely benign, and it's just not a place where historically you've been worried about influences. And that's it's just not the world we live in anymore. I wish it was. The last thing I'm going to say is this, just to repeat myself endlessly, I guess. This is not about banning books. Nobody is talking about banning books. It's not about burning books. It's not about preventing adults from accessing really largely any material they want to access. Nobody is saying any of that. Nobody has said any of that. Now, you will hear folks on the other side throw those sort of verbal hand grenades because, it's useful politically to demonize your opponents. So turn everybody who opposes you into a Neanderthal and a Nazi and shout them down. And that's okay. We get it. That's the game. Nobody's talking about banning books. Nobody's ever been talking about that. Nobody's talking about burning books. Nobody's talking about restricting access for adults to really anything. All we're talking about here is minor children and a library providing material to minor kids and then telling parents that they don't get to know what their kids are reading, that the records are confidential. That's all we're talking about. And I should add that from the beginning of this, we have provided the library with a simple solution. Issue all cards for minors in the names of their parents. Then the kids can use those and check out books. The parents will be able to see the records because they're in their name, and the library will have complied with this state law that they claim is the problem, is the central issue. Everybody will be happy. The library will be in compliance with the law. Kids will be able to access material, and parents will know what their children read. That has been our mantra since the beginning of this thing, and the library insists on retaining the ability to hand books to minor kids and then look the parents in the eye and say, you don't get to know. All right. I will be there on the 20th of November. We will be in contact continuously. We've been putting up a lot of material on this website about the American Library Association and the agenda behind all of this and the kind of material that's being pushed. I would really encourage you to take a few minutes and review that, because I got to tell you that it's kind of mind-bending, actually. I mean, I've been following this issue for some time, and yet in researching things over the last several weeks, I have discovered material that even I, having spent some time on it, was unaware was out there, and really kind of blows your mind a little bit that people are seriously providing this stuff to children. I hope everybody has a good day, and I hope once we get through the 20th, everybody's going to be able to have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I'll be talking to you soon.